guys, Dave and Len here. Welcome to Wargame Chat. Today we're going to talk about some of the war games we're making on our own. These are just home brew things. They may or may never get published. So far they're just for fun, but why don't you talk about a couple of yours?
Okay, one of them is Wilderness Adventure, actually the Wilderness Adventure series. I'm planning, it originally started as an improvement over outdoor survival, and it just kind of grew into something, and it's more realistic than outdoor survival was. But also, the same way, I'm trying to make it as easy to play as possible. And there's a basic game, advanced game, and another one I call an expedition game, where you have you command a group, and you have problems dealing with bearers and stuff like that. I used this for my steampunk role-playing game, where we used the combat system and movement system. And actually, this is a good era to test the system, because at times in the steampunk era, it helps to know how to ride a horse or use a sailboat, but at the same time, it's also good to know something about steamships and railroads and horseless buggies and things like that.
Yeah. Didn't you make a scenario just for fun for it with zombies too?
Yeah, we did that. For the basic game, I have 5 scenarios, and one of them is like a escape from the zombies, where it's the further the less you move, the more likely you are to be attacked by zombies. But the problem is, the more you move, the more tired you are, and you end up running out of breath, and they can catch up with you. They are kind of easy to kill, but depending on the situation, you may have a number of people. So, yeah.
All right, one I'm working on, I did a video of this, I don't know, it must have been about a year ago. It's that sumo wrestling game. The last week I've worked on it, probably about 6 more hours trying to balance it, add new cards to it and stuff. Essentially, you got 2 sumo wrestlers in a ring, and I'm trying to get it to play as much like real sumo wrestling as possible, and you play cards, and some of the cards are interrupts, where if someone's charging you, you could try and trip them or move out of the way, and so on and so forth. So far, it plays pretty quick. I've got it to take a little bit longer to play now. I'd say on average it takes about maybe 8 turns before one of the sumo wrestlers has been defeated, whereas when I first created the game, it was like within 4 turns. But that's actually kind of accurate, because in sumo wrestling, theoretically, a match could only last 2 seconds. Like, for example, the guys charge at each other, and the one guy's head hits the other guy's jaw and knocks him out. So theoretically, a sumo match can last 2 seconds. I think most are done within about 1 minute. It's pretty rare that a sumo wrestling match lasts more than 1 minute. Essentially, you got to either push the guy out of the ring, or knock him down, or get disqualified. I think you get disqualified for slapping someone in the ears, or if the other guy grabs your belt and your belt comes off and you're standing there naked, you get disqualified for being naked. What other ones?
Actually, my aerial warfare system, what this allows is that you could, a system where you can fight any type of aircraft from World War I to the Jet Age. Mind you, with the Jet Age, you have a few more things added onto it. And we're thinking about, instead of one big game like I did in the past, divide it into periods. I'm working on 2 periods at once. One is, it's called Migali. It's essentially the Korean War, but we also had aircraft from, say, 1945, World War II, all these nice German planes that were barely operational or about to be operational. Like I call sometimes Luftwaffe 1946. And also, I think it was, we had things like the first 2 Israeli wars, because I think 55 was the cutoff date, because at that time they started using the air-to-air missiles, which totally changes the nature of air combat. And the other era I'm working on is Spanish Civil War. Now that I like. It has a lot of maneuverable aircraft. I mean, these things are turning on a dime, and they have low firepower, but the thing is, if you hit somebody, it hurts. Even a 30 caliber hit causes lots of damage. So.
Cool. Is there any bombing in that at all? Because I think I read your original rules, and I think there was an option to be able to have scenarios where you bomb or something too.
Yeah, that's one question I have is with the basic folios. I'm just focusing on air combat, but I could bring in bombing, but that causes all sorts of additions and things. But the problem is, I found out people like bombing. In fact, I remember when we used to play like Air War, SBI's Air War, me and my friends, we had a few A-10 scenarios where, you had like a Russian armored column in a valley, and you used the terrain to man. And of course, the Russian guy had to deploy his AAA guns and the SAMs. And you also had options like you could come in like from the west with a full load, or you come in like the north with half load, but the east you come in with a quarter load. But the thing is, most of your Russian defenses are pointed to the west. So if you came in that way, you're facing very little opposition, but you don't have much. You're not carrying much. So
cool. Another one I'm working on. This one I've got the rules are done. And the first two scenarios are done. I just got to do the artwork and stuff for it if I ever decide I'm going to try and publish it or something. It's a micro game. It's called the Halfling Dungeon Delve. Essentially, you're a halfling, and there's a castle, and you go in there. One of the scenarios is to rescue a princess. There's 3 levels and stuff. And each room you enter, there's something in there. So it's a monster. It could be... If it's not a hallway, there's something in there. So you walk in there, and you'll fight a monster, and when you're... if you survive fighting it, you'll pick up treasure and stuff, and you have different spells you can use and stuff, and you can find spell scrolls and stuff. It's a solitaire game. I think it's pretty fun for a solitaire game. I hope one day I get enough time together to actually publish it so other people can play it too. But you got anything else you're working on?
Those are just basically the two systems. I had a Skirmish Warfare series, but I haven't done that in a while because I started, I did draw up a square, instead of using hexagons, I use squares. And what you do is, when you have an individual, if you want it to do something, you roll for its morale. If it passes, it can move or shoot. And of course the thing is that if, say like if he gets isolated, he's suddenly not that eager. And if worst part of it, if his morale goes down real low, he routs, and you have like one turn to rally him or he's off the map.
Another one I'm working on, I've been working on this one for a while. Actually, it's done. I just need to write up the rules in a coherent fashion or make a rule book or something for it if I want to put it on like Wargame Vault or something. But it's called Dice of the Round Table. Essentially, each side has some 6-sided, some 10-sided, some 12-sided, and a 20-sided dice. The 20-sided dice is basically the king. So in order to win, you want to kill your enemy's dice. Each guy's dice start in a line at the maximum value, and when you attack, you'll pick up some of the dice and roll them, and that will determine the amount of damage it does to the dice across the table. But however, let's say you roll a 3 and it does 3 damage to one dice. Well, now your dice is a 3, so when they attack you, your dice only has 3 hit points, so that's the downside to it. But there's things like you can resurrect dice in it and stuff and get hit points back and stuff. So I think the game's fun. It's just another thing I got to finish up and make it look professional, so I can put it on Wargame Vault or wherever and try and sell it for a couple bucks.
Yeah, because one of the things is my skirmish game is that if you do shoot somebody, you either hit them, or if you don't hit them, he checks morale. Because people don't like bullets being shot at, and then he could anything from being pinned to kind of scared where you just don't do anything, or to rout where you start running in the away.
I think you guys have seen my generic science fiction rules that I have. I do for 25 millimeter science fiction miniatures. That's one I'm probably never going to even attempt to publish. It's just kind of for my own fun, but it's like I would call it a living rule set, because each time I play the game, I'm like, yeah, I didn't really like that, so I changed something. So each time I play, the generic science fiction rules are slightly different than the last time. So, but I have fun with them. Another thing I made in the past was a Doom clone. As far as the video game Doom, we played that. That's the one science fiction game we played where you're in the dungeon and stuff, and you had to pick up ammunition and so on and so forth. And if you kill a creature, you may get some ammunition. You're fighting like zombies and different demons and so on and so forth. I thought it was pretty true to the video game. It's not something I could ever publish, though, because the intellectual property belongs to id Software. But, I mean, it's something fun just for playing around with. And I got all these Doom figures that I painted up and stuff. I got I got more than the full set, actually.
Okay.
Trying to think, is there any others? Oh, here's one. This one's more of a pipe dream than anything. It's called Julius Caesar on Mars, basically. I think I told you about that, didn't I? Yeah. Basically, the god of war grabs Julius Caesar and his buddy Labienus and their units and transports them to Mars, because that's where the god of war lives, and he doesn't want to interfere directly in a war that's happening there. So he brings Julius Caesar there to quell an alien rebellion. And so the point of the game is really so you can have these different alien armies he'll fight. Some will be like a Macedonian phalanx, and so on. Some might fight like Hannibal and stuff. So what I'm trying to do with the game would be to have it where Julius Caesar could fight these different armies that didn't even exist at his time, but make it science fiction so you can get away with it. But the scope of what I want to do with it is just too big, so I might have to cut it down. It might even one day just become like a fighting fantasy novel, like kind of like a choose your own adventure where you roll dice and stuff, though. But instead of like individual guys fighting each other, you'll have like actual battles with units fighting and stuff. But I got a lot of ideas about it, but a lot of good ideas doesn't make a good game. You got to filter out 90% of them and just keep what you need without making it too complex. Mm-hmm. Got anything else?
No, that's about it.
All right. See you guys next. Oh, wait. 1 second, guys. Show them the game we're going to play next week. Here it is. Ukraine. We're going to try this one next week, being the current state of affairs. See how this one is, but...
All right. You could channel your inner Putin.
Yeah. Thanks, guys, and have a good evening.